sustainable development. This will be our focus for today's Graphic National Development Series, where we'll engage the politicians. Shall we rise and pray? We thank you, Father God, for this opportunity. We pray for success. We pray for the guests. We pray for everybody present. We believe that we are here to charter a course, and at the end of the day, we believe that everything will go on well. Thank you. Amen. Shall we be seated? My name is Nana Jantua. I shall be the moderator. And thank you, Graphic, for 3 years in a row. Opportunities like this are given for us to engage. I'm with multimedia. I also work with the UR department. And we'll be engaging ourselves with how best we can address beyond the theory. Let me invite the corporate communication manager, Graphic, to tell us the reason why we are here, Mr. Emmanuel A.J. Arthur. Shall we welcome him?
Thank you very much. Honorable Moses Enim, the representative of the presidential candidate of the new Patriotic Party, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Dr. Mohammed Yakubu Al-Hassan, the representative of the presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, His Excellency Ex-President John Dramani Mahama, Professor Datsun Awunyovito, the Provost of College of Agric and Natural Resources, KNUST, Professor E.A. Osekre, the Dean of the Faculty of Agric, KNUST, Doctors Mrs. Monica Addison and Camillus Wagner, expert panelists on Agric who will be helping us to discuss the way forward, managers of Graphic Communications Group Limited hearing present, distinguished guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased for the opportunity to welcome you to this very important program. We are here this morning to give an opportunity to the political parties to tell us about the proposed agric policies in their manifestos. I think the importance of a manifesto in an election year need not be overemphasized. It is that document in which the candidates tell the people whose mandate they seek to govern how they are going to move the economy forward and help their well-being. We have had a number of discussions, mostly on political platforms. So yes, there's been an opportunity, but on the political platform, there's also noise because the candidates are excited. They are speaking to their people, and they are trying to work people's enthusiasm. You need a platform where we are sober and really can go into what it is that they are presenting in their manifestos. For those of us who are a little up in age and witnessed the 1992 and the campaign, how it went, was a lot of other things, attacks and insults, candidates throwing mud. You prove your mettle to try to woo voters by showing how good we were at attacking. I think that our campaign has been evolving over time. And what we see now is a debate of ideas where each party is trying to show how better its ideas are over the other party, for which reason we should vote for that party. Now, being the most influential and credible and the biggest media organization in the country, Graphic Communications Group Limited felt duty-bound to create a platform where we can help shape this new trend and the conversation to help the people make an informed choice. The question I get that begs for answering is why agriculture, of all the many aspects of the manifestos? The answer is simple. We believe that as a country, if we can get the basics of agriculture right, we will be dealing with a lot of the challenges that we have. Just a few. Research showed that in terms of household expenditure, probably the biggest chunk of it goes into food. If you could be food sufficient by doing the right things in agriculture through right policies, we will be easing a lot of financial tension at homes. That apart, we know that as a country, our statistics on employment has never been decent. The statistics has never been encouraging. And we know that agriculture is also probably the biggest employer in this country. If you look at the vast majority in the rural areas and even peri-urban centers. So if you could get Agric right, we will be helping to deal with that canker of unemployment. Once again, we know the never-dying challenge of foreign exchange and the currency depreciation. If you could get Agric right in all its aspects, agribusiness, processing of agro products, exports, and all of that, we'll be getting in foreign exchange to help bolster our currency. These are but a few of the reasons why we felt that of all the facets of the manifesto promises, we want to zoom in on agriculture and get the populace to understand really what it is that the parties are telling us, based on which people should give them their mandate. So I will not go further. I am speaking English, but the experts here will be speaking agriculture. So I'll end my English and resume my seat, but not until I welcome you once again to this very important program. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Oh, we can do better. We can do better. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel Ejiatha, the Corporate Communication Manager, Daily Graphic. This is the Graphic National Development Series, where our focus will be on how to diversify and engage in entrepreneurship for food security and sustainable development. In 2014, Ghana was importing close to $1 billion of food. John Dramani Mahama was the president then. He promised that government is putting all the measures to ensure that we reduce that importation. By 2016, we're doing close to $2.4 billion. As we speak currently, we have increased it, and we are still increasing the food imports. Rice, tomatoes. In fact, per data, we are importing close to over $100 million of tomatoes. We are importing $300 million of fish and many others. I know of Tech Banche, about 4 or 5 varieties that were made by I think the former dean of students, Professor Safo Kantanka, Tech Banchi, and we could have harnessed starch, because we know that industrial starch is getting certain countries over $5 billion US. We have the money. The challenge is that if you look at the investment into Agric, our GDP, so far, we are still doing close to, less than $1 billion. Other sectors are getting close to $2 billion, 2 billion Ghana cedis. Agric is still doing less than 1 billion. But I am aware of the Marable Convention, where African Union met and decided that at least 10% of their GDP must be invested in Agric. Today we have the politicians here. We want to know, because so far, MPP, NDC, you are doing less than 3%. So we want to tell the story of how you, in your next government, will do in terms of Agric investment. Ladies and gentlemen, let's acknowledge our sponsors. Want to thank ADB. Thank you so much. Want to thank KGL. Want to also appreciate Kali Ghana. Thank you for sponsoring this Graphic National Development Series. Now, time for us to listen to the politicians. When they speak, ask them the questions. Analyze it well. There are 3 types of decoders, according to Stuart Hall, who is one of the propounders of communication theory. He said that when you speak to somebody, there are 3 people who decode the message. We have the dominant decoders. For the dominant, they accept it in full. So maybe when an MPP person speaks, an MPP receiver will receive it 100%. Then we have the oppositional decoders. That is when MPP speaks, the NDC will never, because they will oppose. It's normal. But we have the negotiated decoders. For them, they analyze, they listen to it, they would analyze the issue before trying to either accept or reject. Who you be will depend on whatever they will say. So let me first invite the camp of Afrafranto, Alan Kojo Martin camp, to tell us what they will do if they have the opportunity in the area of Agric. Mr. Amwa represents Alan Kojo Martin Afrafranto. Shall we welcome him? You have 15 minutes for this address.
Good morning. Good morning. I want to extend greetings from my my boss, Alan Kojo Martin, to all of you here gathered, and also to encourage you to vote for him the next coming elections, for him to execute his policies that will enhance the agricultural situation that we have in this country. We are all aware that we have had challenges, as has been enumerated presently. And some of the challenges are why we are where we are today. We can see that governments have tried their best to do what they could, but as to whether the policies that they brought were sustainable has been the bane of our country over the period. It's more of political policies for the next elections, but not for the next generation. And this has created most of the problems that we are having now. And we have been spending a lot and investing so much into the Agric that we all want to see and such monies and such investments are going down the drain. Like my brother here came to tell us, it is true that food is very important. And the basic need of every human being is food, clothing, and shelter. And food comes first. I can guess that all of us have eaten before coming here. So we cannot take food for granted when it comes to policies. So therefore, Alan Chamatin, great transformational plan has this to offer to the table for us to analyze and see if he is the one to be voted for us to have the best of our agricultural programs. First of all, Alan Chamatin, in his policy, says when he comes, he is going to establish agro-parks and processing clusters to enhance agricultural production. And as we will all be aware, we have been in subsistence farming for a very, very, very long time. And this is the time that we all need to bring our hands on the table to make sure that we do more of commercial agriculture to enable us move forward instead of doing the subsistence. When I was in school, I did agric science. And the problems that are being enumerated now were the same problems that were being enumerated and we're using it to write our exams. And we haven't gotten solutions yet. So therefore, there's the need for us to move from subsistence farming to big commercial farming through agro-parks. The agro-parks, as you may be aware, are a very comprehensive system of agriculture where you have the industries attached to the production of the material, the raw materials itself, so that we can have longer shelf life for the products that we produce to enable us export and also make some foreign exchange. Instead of where now, recently we were in some areas, and you see that the plantain is in abundance. They are almost like a glut, and some are even ripening and they are getting destroyed. And you don't expect the youth to get into such a situation where they have that high risk of venture, because when they go in and they have everything but they don't have the market or they don't have longer shelf life for their products, and they do it for this year, obviously next year you don't expect them to be there. So we need a policy where we can have longer shelf life for our products, and that is where we have attached proper industrial processes to agricultural products. And Alan Chamatin also has this policy of developing the 5 northern regions as the food basket for the entire West Africa. The 5 northern regions, and I can mention them like northern, northeast, savannah, upper east, and upper west. I have a big tract of land there for a different program, not Agric. But I can see that the lands are just lying without being used for any agricultural purposes. If we have a government or we have a president who is committed in doing this, we are all aware, and I can tell you that within a short period of time, we will be able to even export most of our products. And it will require us to have proper agricultural planning in terms of irrigation, in terms of good seedlings, in terms of proper management and technology. We have always relied on some few technologies in the absence of other ones which could have been very sustainable. I'll come to that. But before I go there, in the middle belt, we are also going to have 3 crops. 3 crops. The middle belt consists of Bron East, Ahafo, Western region, and then Western North, rather. 3 crops production like we all know maize, cocoa, what do you call it? oranges and all those tree crops. We are going to use that area because we know that that's the area that can also be able to contain that kind of products. The north, we know they are going to be maize, beans, and stuff. And so in the middle belt, that's what we're going to do. And then also, we go to the Oti region. That's an area that is going to be used for fishery and aquaculture. We have the Volta Lake there. And then if you segregate them like this, it means wherever each one is, you'll be able to know what to do to enhance the agricultural facilities and also the agricultural products to bring prosperity to our nation. Then also, we are going to encourage the youth to go into the agriculture, but the youth will only go in when they see sustainability and profitability. So therefore, there will be the need for us to do our things in such a way that it will rather attract them to get into the agric instead of we pushing them into the agric. They would not necessarily go into the agric where they don't see any end in sight. So our policy for agric is to introduce some of these technologies that are going to help to make sure that we get to where we want to be as far as agric is concerned. And then when we come to the technology, we know Pualugu Dam has its own limitations, even though it's not been completed yet. Even if it is completed, we have its limitations. There are certain areas the Pualugu Dam cannot go, but that is the biggest dam that we are anticipating to have. Now, when you get to Pualugu Dam, cannot be extended to Drobonso, Sechidumase, and Ejura. Within a couple of months ago, there was so much drought in the area that nothing was being produced there. It's just recently that we are seeing this now. We all know it may not have come out of the blues. It was the climate challenges that we had. And so through the depletion of our forest reserves, that has brought about all these things. But Alanchamatin still has a policy of cloud seeding, where we can see the cloud have artificial rainfalls for the entire 24 months in the year, where agricultural products are not going to have any issue. Because when we do the cloud seeding, like Israel is doing cloud seeding, United Arab Emirates are doing cloud seeding. Recently, they had an issue with the wheat when they were importing from Ukraine. And then there was this war. They immediately got back to their land, and you know their lands are deserts. They prepared the land, they set it up with cloud seeding, and now they are exporting wheat. So why can't we do it in this country? We have all the lands, we have everything, except that I don't know how to put it, but it's unfortunate we don't have the edge, the love, and for that to move into the agri, because we see it as a risk business. But if we have a president like Alanchamatin who is coming to have proper plan to take up these problems, and then the risk that is involved in this agriculture, our youth in the universities will prefer to go there and work and then get their living, because they realize that they are going to have sustainable policies that are going to help in the agricultural sector. And then also marketing. Marketing is also very important. Alanchamatin's policy is to make sure that we have the rural areas, roads constructed. We must link agriculture to the Volta Lake, transportation, and even the railways, so that products that we produce here can get to the ports early enough for export, in order not for them to stay on the roads for a very long time. The average car stays on the road for far longer than other countries where their roads are better. And we cannot stay on this tangent forever. This is about the time we need to move on, and Alanchamatin is coming with all these policies. So we are going to have effective transportation, and then also what he has brought about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area these farm products that we're able to produce will link to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, where we have quota-free, duty-free export to the entire West African country, where we have about 1.5 trillion US dollar market and about several billions of, about 4 billion population with about 1.5 trillion US dollar market. So if you link the agric to the after, it shows that Ghana will rise again. We have been on the doldrums for quite a long time, but this is about a time for us to rise. So therefore, on the 7th December, I'm not here to do politics, but I can't live without also talking about what is right before us. On the 7th December, we're going to vote, and if you want the agric policy to still be on its feet, sustainable agric policies in this great transformational plan, then you vote for Alan Martin. He is on number 13, or that's here, so when you go, you vote for him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Amwa, representing Afrafranto. We will call the representative of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Dr. Ahmed Yaqub Al-Hassan, to also tell us what GM has for us in the area of Agric. Shall we invite him? And please let's clap for him as he mounts the podium.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. I would like to sit on existing protocols, but I'm tempted to recognize a couple of people who have been meaningful in my life as I journeyed through my studies till today. And so the Provost, the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Professor Datsun Onyo Vitor, who is my very good friend and a schoolmate in Y College in the 1990s, I believe. And the Dean of Faculty that I've encountered a couple of times in my life as a research scientist in the CSR. And the university staff and students. And of course, my colleague, former Deputy Minister of Fisheries, and Agriculture, who I was with in Parliament, Honorable Moses and him. For some reason, he continues to be there, I believe. And then the panelists will be relating us with questions, and then also the media. His Excellency President, former President John Dramani Mahama, sends his apologies for his inability to be here and has asked me to represent him. So I must say that if I do that very well, the credit should go to him. If I don't do it well, it is entirely my fault. Mr. Chairman or MC, agriculture is undeniably the backbone of Ghana's economy and anchors the livelihoods of many households. And its importance spans our food security, poverty reduction, jobs creation, raw material supply, and foreign exchange generation for our dear nation. It accounts for about 23% of our GDP and nearly 40% of employment for our nation. However, the sector remains traditional, underfunded, and hindered by limited access to, if you like, technology, machinery inputs, formal markets, irrigation, and storage facilities. over the last nearly 8 years, the current government has implemented the Plan for Food and Jobs program, which is now in its second phase. And despite substantial investments, the results have not been as we all wish it would be. Of course, the reasons for this would have been due to design and implementation challenges well acknowledged in the document that brought forth the phase 2 of the Planting for Food and Jobs program. The poultry and cocoa industries have not performed to the best of our investment aspirations, and food inflation has surged from a very low level of 8% between 2009 and 2016 to currently above 20% that we are witnessing. The NDC, under my leadership, acknowledged the challenges in agriculture and the worsening living conditions of all of us as Ghanaians. Through extensive stakeholder engagements, we have crafted a set of policies to address these issues and place agriculture in the center of our national economic transformation. To begin with, our food security situation is not the best, and the primary goal of agriculture must be to feed the population. Mr. Chairman, the latest food insecurity reports by the Ghana Statistical Services indicates that approximately 13.4 million people are food insecure in Ghana, with about 52% of households experiencing hunger. This is why, starting in 2025, our Culture for Economic Transformation agenda will launch the Feed Ghana program to ensure food security. The program aims to improve self-sufficiency in key food crops, livestock, and fisheries. Specifically, the Feed Ghana program will include the following components. 1, transformational grains development to boost domestic production of key grains such as maize, rice, soybean, and sorghum, as well as our starchy staples, plantain, cassava, and yam. 2 is research investments to enhance the productivity and post-harvest handling of roots and tuber crops. 3, vegetable development to improve the cultivation of vegetables like tomato, onion, and peppers. And I think that the MC was very eloquent in providing the statistics that how much foreign exchange we spend importing these commodities. The poultry to farm to table and broiler production cooperatives to revive the poultry sector and increase production of meat and eggs. Number 5 will be livestock development to enhance meat and dairy production, particularly cattle, pigs, small ruminants. And last but not the least, aqua and cage culture to expand freshwater fish farming and meet Ghana's protein needs. Secondly, the next NDC government from 2025 will establish farmers' services centers in agro-production zones to provide comprehensive support to farmers, particularly smallholder farmers. These centers will provide access to machinery, inputs, agronomic and financial services. The centers will have direct representation of farmers and other stakeholders in their management, ensuring that benefits are accessible to every farmer. Thirdly, we will introduce measures to de-risk the agricultural sector, and give financial institutions the necessary assurances to conduct agribusiness with confidence. It is a widely known fact that banks and other financial institutions are hesitant to finance agriculture and agribusiness due to the high risk involved. In response, during our previous administration, the GESAL was established to provide risk guarantees to financial institutions, including insurance providers, to facilitate credit for farmers and agro producers. In our next government, we will ensure that GESAL is fully resourced to meet its mandate, increasing credit availability for both smallholder and commercial farmers as well as processors. We will also implement measures to reshape perceptions of agriculture by focusing on building an efficient value chain that integrates primary agriculture, agro-processing, market access, and agribusiness services. Institutions like the Exim Bank and the Ghana Enterprises Agency will be reoriented to support cooperatives and associations in producing and processing a wide range of agricultural outputs for both local and export markets, particularly within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area. This will involve establishing facilities to process cassava, cashew, fruit, tomato, sugarcane, fish, and poultry, alongside the creation of feed processing plants and the deployment of mini rice mills. In the area of cash crops, we will take decisive steps to revitalize cocoa production, enhance cocoa processing capacity, revive the cotton industry, and strengthen the tree crop subsector, focusing on shea, oil palm, cashew, coffee, rubber, coconut, mango, and citrus. Specifically, we will resume the timely provision of fertilizers and agro-inputs to cocoa farmers, improve pest surveillance and farm biosecurity, reintroduce and expand the Youth in Cocoa Farming Program, promote institutional commercial farming, and restore prudent management of cocoa board to improve efficiency and safeguard farmers' welfare. In the fisheries subsector, in collaboration with the London Beach Committees, we will leverage technology to improve the distribution of premixed fuel and establish fisheries services centers to provide essential equipment and services to fisher folk. We will also deploy modern fish harbors, landing sites, and related facilities in key fishing communities such as Shama, Aflao, Sugarcope, Asesewa, Biriwa, Tema Newtown, and Dix Cove. Additionally, we plan to construct modern inland fish markets at Adabraka and Pando Toko and establish a Blue Economy Commission to sustainably manage marine and freshwater resources whilst improving the livelihoods of fisher folk and raising living standards in fishing communities. Lastly, we will implement measures to develop agro-productive zones and aggressively expand and improve agricultural infrastructure. This includes doubling the current amount of cultivable land under irrigation to counter the effects of climate change, adequately resourcing commodity marketing and storage institutions, and facilitating the development of fully functional warehouses, cold storage facilities, and packing centers. Overall, our agriculture for economic transformation agenda aims to create a modernized agricultural system that not only feeds the population, but also supports industries, generates sustainable jobs, and transforms livelihoods for greater prosperity. Mr. Chairman, agriculture and agribusiness will form the backbone of our 24-hour economy. Our commitment to the sector's development, from crops, livestock, and fisheries to agro-processing, is steadfast, and by the grace of God, you will witness it firsthand when we assume office in January 2025. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. And may I just comment that what I have read from President Mahama is contained in the Resetting Ghana, Jobs, Accountability and Prosperity, the NDC Manifesto for 2024. I thank you very much.
Oh, please, let's clap, let's clap, let's clap. Wow. So we will hear from number one. So let's kindly invite the Rep for Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia. Let's hear him on his side. In terms of, let me get the name right, just a minute before you come. So, you know, chiefs adore the appellations. So I don't want to joke with that. Okay, so I have Honorable Moses Enim. Okay. Representative of number one. Okay. Talk to us in the next 15 minutes. Whether we need to reset or rescan or whatever. Tell us.
Thank you very much. With your permission, let me also stand in all previous protocols, acknowledging the chairman of the Manifesto Committee on Agric and Fisheries, Mr. William Opombio, who is here with me. Let me also recognize my colleague who just spoke on behalf of the former president, John Mahama, and also acknowledge everybody here. On the basis of what agriculture contributes to our national GDP, on the basis of agriculture contribution to employment, food security, creation of wealth, and also income and employment. The plan and programs for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is in tune largely with the team set forth for this dialogue. Dr. Bawumia has also further noted that food is a determinant of cost of living. And for that matter, food must be affordable. But at the same time being affordable, the plan must also provide income security for farmers and all value chain actors. As a result, Dr. Bawumia has a plan that will upscale production through productivity. And the plan incorporates private sector participation and also in line with the team entrepreneurship. Dr. Bawumia's plan starts from de-risking agriculture. Already, the government has established GESAL. GESAL is charged with the responsibility of providing what we have as credit, agricultural credit risk guarantee, and also provide agricultural insurance, and also provide technical and capacity building support for financial and lending institutions. As we speak, GESAL has provided almost 1.2 billion Ghana cedis in de-risking agriculture, in providing the credit guarantee for 35 financial institutions and agribusiness of about 137. Dr. Baumia wants to accelerate, resource, and equip GESAL so that they can expand this activity. And we believe strongly with such an expansion, this risk agriculture federally, and then also private sector can now come in because cost of capital for agriculture will be drastically reduced. We have Development Bank Ghana as well. As a result, Development Bank Ghana is also improving and facilitating funding for agriculture. Dr. Baumia also wants to redirect and also redirect Agriculture Development Bank as well and other lending institutions having the risk agriculture through the process of GESAL. The lending for agriculture will be provided by such institutions. Dr. Baumia's broad vision for agriculture is therefore farmer or fisher-centered, business-driven agricultural value chain that applies technology and also sustainable climate-smart practices. In this view, you see through that the plan will ensure that we escalate mechanization centers, also escalate and expand irrigation infrastructure, and also provide silos, which are crop-specific silos and storage systems, and also get research fund, especially targeted in areas of improved seed varieties and technologies. We also have a plan for special programs for soybean, groundnut, fruits, horticulture crops, and staple food as staple crops. Dr. Baumia also has a plan to expand the cocoa productivity enhancement program, which have the 4 P's of pruning, pollination, poultry manure, and protection. If you read the Bible, John 15:2, you see the biblical expression of pruning, which is very critical in growing agriculture. Dr. Baumia also wants to expand the rehabilitation of our cocoa trees that have become maribound and unproductive, and the rehabilitation acceleration as we go ahead will come forth in the plan. Dr. Baumia plan is intensive collaboration with the private sector to scale up their interest in all the value chains of agriculture and fisheries. The key challenge, again, is to link and strengthen local food networks and markets to ensure seamless linkages. And here, the plan is to expand Ghana Commodity Exchange and also create cash crop marketing companies and large aggregators. They will involve in purchasing of the staple crops and all other crops that will be developed. The silos are supposed also to be crop-specific silos, and we want to inculcate private sector in its development. Dr. Baumia also has a plan and a good plan for promoting commercial farming. In commercial farming, Dr. Baumia wants to apply the economic enclave agriculture. Already, we've piloted some of these sectors, and they are working very well, and I want to mention some of them. At the enclave, Dr. Bawumia wants to make sure there's irrigation for cropping, there's mechanization, agricultural mechanization for cropping, roads network will be set, and power sent there will be coming from hydro and solar. The bit is to reduce cost of production so that private sector will be attracted to that area. We're piloting one at Kasunya at Adan Road. When you veer from Chopoli, it's an 18-kilometer enclave that have been set up. The road network, which is a feeder road, has been done. The 18 kilometers of feeder roads have been done. Power from hydro and solar system have been sent. It is a 4,000-acre land, and as we speak, 20 kilometers of irrigation canal have been set. There's a 2 kilometers of earthen dam also created to prevent flooding and make water available as well. Private sector have started. 90 of our youths are there supporting this enclave. About 800 hectares and also 2 kilometers of canal have been set for poultry and then maize cultivation. There's a private sector person who has taken over this facility that has been provided. For Afram Plains, we have 30,000 hectares of land. We've started targeting 3,350 hectares. As we speak, Afram Plains is also working. And we've targeted about 700 hectares for tomatoes, 1,150 hectares for pepper, and then 500 hectares for onion, 600 hectares for rice, and 600 hectares for maize. This enclave also finds expression at Kumewu and Krachi areas that we are targeting. As a result of the enclave agriculture, Tamni Phase 3 is at almost 68% completion as we speak. And Tamni is coming along with 700 hectares of irrigated land for vegetable growth. VIA is also on board, and VIA is coming out with 850 hectares. And this is also to ensure vegetable growth and as well as cereal production. Dr. Bawumia is also, I remember when we were having the discussion, Dr. Bawumia said, if someone gives you water, it's a blessing. So if Ivory Coast from their Bagri Dam is releasing water, we shouldn't say that is they are creating problem for us, but we should accept it as a blessing. Therefore, the implementation of the Pualugu Dam is on the high agenda. And also the implementation of the Bui irrigation area is also on the agenda. Also in the plan is to complete feasibility studies and design and initiate implementation of the Afram Plains irrigation of the Kanba and then the Makango irrigation. These are all to ensure that we fighting the climate change effect, because one key area is to make water available for year-round agriculture. The white voter and the black voter in the Oti River has also been considered, especially for horticultural production. It is the reason why when you read the manifesto of Dr. Bawumia on transport, Tamale Airport is being looked at as a strategic airport to be developed into cargo, so that exportation of the vegetable and horticultural product and other food basket areas will also be done. Also, Dr. Bawumia has a plan for poultry development. If you read the phase 2 of the PFD, you realize we've given all the yearly targets in there as to how to reach the food sufficiency and food security. The targets are guiding the poultry development as we move on. In fact, even with the poultry development, we are so aware that we need it strongly for its manure for the cocoa enhancement program that we have. Let me now move on to fisheries. I think maybe we've been here for some time, so allow us some time to provide. So give me time. We came early, so give us time to finish so that we can. Yeah. Oh, you think so? I was also checking the time. So let's try and finish up. For fisheries, Dr. Bawumia has an elaborated program. Dr. Bawumia has a program centered on the artisanal fisheries. And one is to ensure that they take hold of the distribution of the government inputs that is given to them, using co-management approach to do that. The other one to also continues to build the landing beach. We built 12 already and 2 fishing harbors, and want to build that, giving out the blast freezers, the cold facilities, and the market for them as well. We also want to provide them with echo sounders, fish finders, and then transponders. Most of them get to the high seas and they get missing. We want to provide them with the transponders to ensure that anytime at all they find themselves somewhere else, we can connect them and bring them back to life. We want to establish also the fisheries pension scheme, learning from the pension scheme for what has been done for the cocoa farmers. We want to also establish a fisheries pension scheme for them, and also come out with a fisheries fund, fisheries and aquaculture development fund for them. We want to support sustainable growth out for watercline, oyster and seaweed culture for coastal women and youth. We also want to facilitate and promote mullet group production, shrimps production for livelihood for our fisher folks. We want to continue also with the support to develop the coastal zone for fish ranching, and then also for to give them the most livelihood to enhance in the close season that we have. Also, we have, Dr. Bawumia has targeted to reduce cost of production in the animal husbandry, and it is targeted at reducing the cost of feed. The cost of feed, which takes 70% of cost of production in our animal sector. And first, the de-risk and reduce cost of capital is the first one. Support research into the use of locally produced raw materials for fish, poultry, and ruminant feed production, and also targeting variety suitable for feed production. We also facilitate and support further research into feed recipe formulation to achieve maximum feed conversion ratio, protein and calorie retentions. This will enhance production efficiency. Also support research into developing high yield, disease resistant, improved growth rate, and climate resilience. And here we'll be looking at academia, we'll be looking at Agric, we'll be looking at CSR in those areas of research. The unit operation of cleaning, sorting, and grading of seeds at crop-specific silos will make available specific seed grade for feed production. We will train farmers on how to produce feed using locally available raw materials. Also facilitate acquisition of small to medium scale feed production machinery for group of farmers. To conclude, for want of time, to come to the conclusion for want of time, the MPP under the leadership of Dr. Baumia, will roll out bold solutions, programs, and policies in order to generate the desired impact for the well-being of the citizenry. The Baumia proposed investment in the agriculture industry will generate sustainable jobs, increase income levels, contribute to GDP growth, as well as generate substantial forests to shore up Ghana's international reserves. Baumia's bold agro-industrialization plan will go a long way to reduce the volume of imports and thus contribute to Ghana's import substitution agenda. Baumia's bold solution to agriculture and fisheries will change Ghana's structure from export of raw agro products to export of value chain. Some of the issues that I mentioned are in the selfless leadership, bold solution for jobs and business. And it will ensure that the agriculture doesn't become the sole challenge for the government, but to also bring in the private sector and to invest in the private sector and ensure the private sector has scale its interest and participation in its investment. And the reason why we think that doing this and making sure we're creating all these facilities to enhance agriculture will be there for the farmer to move and then come in and ensure. We want to make food affordable, but not at the expense of the farmer. And that is why Baumia stresses on the income security to ensure that the farmer has income security year on production and can come back and invest back. So Dr. Baumia is number one, and number one on the ballot. We want every Ghanaian to vote for him. The Lord God bless us all.
Thank you. But Dr. Baumia went beyond the 20 minutes. So, no. But we thank you. Both solutions. We have number 1, we have number 8, and then we have number 13. It's okay. Thank you. Just 1 minute. Can we rise and then stretch? Can we rise and stretch and then smile at each other and think through whether we are convinced with Afrafranto or number 8 or number 1? So
there's a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies, The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies, The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is.
Dr. Camillus is also an associate editor of the Rural Development section of Helion, an Elsevier journal, and a managing editor for African of International Agribusiness Management Review. He's a member of the Ghana Association of Agriculture Economics, African Association of Agriculture Economics, International Association of Agriculture Economics, Agriculture Applied Association, and a fellow of Africa Research and Impact Network. Doctor has consulted for African Development Bank, commissioned by the EP, NUFFIC, Hector Genbosch in the Netherlands, Weglog International for Agriculture Development, and many more. Dr. Camillus Wagner, thank you. God bless you for joining us today. So, do we have the projection? Do you have the projection? What are we projected? So, we are projecting a certain data to guide our discussion quickly about what we have done so far regarding Agric and whether we are doing well, and I will crave the indulgence of the politicians to check the data. All right. Good. So as you can see, the agri growth currently in the MPP, you can check it. So 2017, we did 6.2%. 2018, we did 4.9%. 2019, 4.7%. 2020, 7.3%. 2021, 8.5%. 2022, 4.2%. And then we move. If you look at the growth, crops, livestock, forestry, and fishing. Fishing, we're doing negative. Now, by 2022, we're doing 15.8%. And that's the data so far. Forestry and logging, we are in the negative. Livestock, remember the government had done rearing for food and export. 5.7 so far, 5.7, and then we move. Let's move on to the 2014 data. Quick one. Based on the data, the 2014. Yes. Can we expand it? 2014, agriculture growth, 0.9%. 2015, 2.3. 2016, 2.9. Fishing was recording negative 23.3. Forestry logging, negative 1.5 in 2014. 2015, negative 3.9. 2016, 2.9. Fishing, 2017, 1.4. We gave it to you. So as of 2016, we're doing 2.9% in terms of agric. Now let's look at the data of imports. According to the 2022 data, and let's see whether we are doing well or not. And they will give you the 2023 current one so that it will guide our decision. Quick one, please. Yes, expand this one for me. So this is the value of food imported into Ghana in 2021 in US dollars. Imported. Cereals and preparations, 957 million. Meats and meat preparations, 636. Fat and oil, including butter, 462. Sugar and honey, 272. Beverages, 211. Fruits and vegetables, 184. Fish, 163. Dairy products and eggs, Nkosia, 163. And then you look. Let's look at the current one, and then we'll begin the discussions. So ask our experts, what is wrong or right with us? The last one, please. Project the current one. The reason why I'm doing that is our politicians know how to talk. But when it comes to the doing, that's where my challenge is. All right. No, just give me the figures. I want the one with figures. The tables. The current one, 2023. The tables. The one with cereals and... Yes, this one. Expand the top one for me. Yes. Good. Expand it so that they can see. So data does not lie. So that it will not be Nana Janswa saying something. So please expand it again so we can see it. And let's check the current data, 2023. Can we still expand it? Okay, right. So we have increased. So far, if you look at the cereals, grains, number 5 is interesting. Nentwie ye madie ne aponche ye madie nyina ye imported. 598 million. So cereals and grains, we are investing 1.23 billion. Frozen cuts and offal of fowl. Galus, 868 million. Sugar in powder, 793. Palm oil, 717. Yemadiano guts, bladder, stomach, nina so for 500. Ye pay yemadian kasa. Rice, semi-milled, wholly milled, 583. Fish frozen, fish fillet, 321. Palm oil, its fractions, 315. Oil cake, and all this in 2020. So this is how much currently the top food product imports as we speak in Ghana. So let me engage my expert. Another mic, please. Mic. Yes. Okay, you have the mic. Dr. Mrs. Monica Addison, based on this and the topic, what will be your initial statement? Yes.
Thank you very much. I want to stand in the existing protocol and also to say thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of such an important meeting or gathering. Indeed, from what we have observed so far, we cannot attest to the fact that as a country we are not doing very well at all. A country that we claim to be agrarian economy, a country that we have all the necessary resources to be able to do well, yet we find ourselves in this situation. I will say that there's a fundamental issue that we have not been able to tackle all these years. And I see it to be mainly on the structure of our agriculture. That is where I want to look at it from. At that there's a need for structural transformation of our agriculture. There's a need for us to move away from smallholder-based traditional farming to more modern, commercial, and sustainable agriculture. And the question is, how do you go about this? How do you go about it? Most of the time, we talk about things we want to achieve without showing how we are going to achieve it. How do we do that? That is the question now. In my view, I think that we cannot continue to depend on rain-fed agriculture and make a headway as a country. And we cannot, because we have realized that large-scale irrigation has not also helped all this while. We can't also rely on that. Why? Simply because, one, it is capital intensive, and maintenance of such structures are also very difficult, especially if you want to live in the smallholder farming. Then what should be the decision? Solution to this problem? When we look outside the country, like India and China, there are simple way of irrigating your fields without resorting into these large-scale agriculture. India, for instance, are doing very well using tube well as a technology, very simple technology, yet they are able to water about 80% of their farmland.
Doc, permit me. Please bring it down to our level. We want to understand the tube well. What does it mean? What does it do? Is it part of the guts or the bladder that we import?
No.
Yeah, please bring it down for us.
Okay. It's a simple tube connected to water or well, source of water or well, and then with you have a way of connecting it to a source of water, and it's able to water the land from the source of water to the farmland. So by the time you are away, by the time they come back the following day, it is able to water, and they are able to do a year-long agriculture. In an era of climate change and recurrent drought, especially in the northern region, Ghana is blessed with a vast arable land. but we cannot do year-long agriculture. And even now that there's climate change issues are really affecting us. The time we are supposed to cultivate, we are waiting for rain, rain does not come. The time we are supposed to harvest is raining, and then we are getting post-harvest loss. So we cannot continue to do that. And as I said earlier on, we cannot also continue to rely on our irrigation systems because they are too expensive, and the maintenance is also difficult. In addition to that, there are other small farm implements that we can depend on. We can, apart from the irrigation that we can talk about, we also see that the youth of this country are less motivated to go into agriculture. And now our agriculture is aged. And we are in the bombshell right now, I'm telling you. In the next 10 to 15 years, if all these old ones phase out, where will we get food to eat? That's the question we should ask ourselves. But nobody's looking at that one. And the issue is, why are the youth not interested in agric? Why are the youth not? Recently, we were doing a study in one of the cocoa farming areas. And then we met the farmers, and I asked this question, why are you not training your kids so that when you are phased out, they can come and replace you? One of the farmers asked me a question. He said, why are you not sending your child to us to train so that when we are not there, they will replace us? We have realized, he said that all of us are now wiser than before. We've realized that if we continue to train our children, we will never break away from poverty. We see you people driving flashy cars and enjoying in the city. We also want to send our children to school so that when we become old, they can take care of us. I looked at that man and I almost cried. He said, we have worked for all these years, but we have nothing to show as farmers. I was talking to a cocoa farmer, how much more a crop farmer? So how do we make agric attractive? To ensure that we can encourage our youth into agric. And one of the things we can do is to focus on, as a country, focus on reducing drudgery. I mean, the difficulty in, farming is very, very difficult to do if you want to do it manually. So, and we cannot also continue to rely on heavy machinery, but there are small, simple farm tools, implements, and equipment that we can import into a country, and yet we can achieve the same results. The question, why are we not doing that? Why are we not doing that? We always keep on emphasizing on importing tractors and all that, but it has not helped us. But other countries have made a stride in agriculture by using these simple tools and equipment to revamp the agricultural sector. Why can't we do the same as a country? According to a report, a 2021 Haifa International report, it's only about 5% of the youth are in agriculture now. And that is very, very serious. Very, very serious. Another thing that we also we can also look at is, in fact, as you were trying to read my profile, there was one project that I was involved in after my first degree, that's Village Infrastructure Project. And my NGO was handling a component of that project. So we were facilitating the transmission of bullock with plows to the farmers. We were also giving out bicycle with trailers and small power tillers with equipment for plowing and all that seeding, harvesting, and all that. But after the project, when we went to do the evaluation, we could find almost none of them. Why? Because the concentration was solely on plowing the land. What about the after plowing the land? Weeding, harvesting, and post-harvesting management equipment. So we couldn't get anywhere with it. In Ghana, and then along the way, we don't make a headway, so all those innovations just fizzle out. But we can have, for instance, a seed drill, very, very simple machine that can plant after land preparation. We can have power weeder for efficient weeding. They are very, very simple if you check online. We can also have combined multi-purpose tools with combined functions of plow, cultivator, and seed drill, solar-powered sprayer for eco-friendly pesticide applications, just to mention a few. These are all available if we are serious as a country and we want to invest in those things. They are not too expensive that farmers can actually even invest in those implement tools and equipment. Again, we all know that credit, which is very, very key in agriculture. The last time I checked, the formal credit, we have about less than 10%, about 6% of formal credit goes into Agric. You see, as a country. Yet we say Agric is the backbone of the economy. You know, there's a high cost of inputs, farm inputs, right from seed, pesticide, and all that. And without credit, there's no way a young generation who are very vulnerable can go into Agric. So, if you compare Ghana with other countries, sub-regions, others are doing well, about 10% or more, and we are less than 10%. Let's come to budgetary allocation to Agric. It's more or less goes into recurrent expenditure with little investment in Agric. And therefore, when you look at the 2024 budget, it's about 1.95% in Agric. And again, we also have a problem with infrastructure, road infrastructure. There's a low correlation between farm gate and retail prices. Low correlation. There's a high retail price at the urban markets, and this is not being transmitted to the farmer.
Doc, the points, will come to that because I would want you to elaborate properly on those points that you make in terms of the specifics.
Yeah.
So let me allow Dr. Warner to also make an
Thank
input.
You very much.
And then we'll come to those specifics because I am afraid that only 5%, that is scary. The youth, only 5% are interested in Agric. Wow. I'm scared. Doc, I mean, you've heard your colleague, but what would be your initial statement? The politicians have spoken, but you are the expert. You are reading. What would you say?
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity. I also stand on the existing protocols to also give my initial remarks as far as this gathering is concerned. Yes, the politicians have said it all. And this is not the first time we are hearing them about what they will do for the country when they are giving the nod. The first thing I will say is that what I think in this country is that we need a long-term agricultural development plan for the country. I don't think we need a plan that no party has power to change. If it is even possible that there could be some sort of legislation in such a way that no party comes and then the party wants to change it in any way, I think it will help this country. That has been the problem that we have. If you look at the policies, the agricultural policies that we have used in this country over the years, you realize that you don't really see any clear-cut difference between them. Party A comes today, they come with a policy. At the beginning, you see that the policy is doing very well. Then it gets to the middle, and then things will start going down. Another party will come, and then they will modify it in a different way. And then when you sit down to do an analysis of it, then you realize that they are not doing anything different. It's just the old one that they have modified in a certain way. So can we have a long-term agricultural development plan for this country in such a way that no party comes, nobody is giving the nod, and then is able to change the policy? Until we are able to do this, our politicians will continue to build castles in the air. They put so many things on paper, just like we heard today. Fantastic ideas they have put on paper. But the question is, just like my colleague rightly indicated, sometimes you read the manifesto and then you ask yourself, how is it going to be done? So I think that as a country, we need to think about doing this kind of thing. I think we were about doing this when we met at there was a gathering at Senchi to think about the National Development Plan, which I believe agriculture was an aspect of it. The question is, what happened to all the resources that were invested, bringing people together to think about the country, about what needs to be done? So that is what I think as a country we need for. That is one. Secondly, if we really want to develop agriculture in this country, let's ask ourselves, who are the people who really matter as far as agricultural development in this country is concerned? The farmers. So if we want to develop agriculture in this country, if we want to change and then send Ghana to the promised land, make our agriculture better, let's make our farmers happy. Let's give them what they need to be able to give us what they want. Now, for us to be able to give our farmers what they need, that means that we need to know their challenges. They have constraints. They have problems. It should be some kind of a bottom-up approach. You go down to them and then co-create with them. Let them tell you what they need. One very important thing I want to talk about has to do with their production constraints. If our farmers have to produce, they need inputs. Over the years, as a country, so many policies have been used by previous governments to make inputs accessible to farmers. But the question is whether these policies have really been able to do what we want for the country. If you look at the food security policy that the current Planting for Food and Jobs came to replace, they have some similarities. And all these policies were aimed at making inputs accessible to our farmers. Normally, for these policies, at the beginning, you see that a lot of money is pumped into the policy And you see the policy working very well from the beginning. But in the middle, towards when it's getting to the end of the policy, then you see so many challenges. And why do we normally experience all these things? Sometimes, as we normally see in this country, politicians will always put people who may have been their financiers. So they put them in the helm of affairs, expecting them to manage some of these policies for us. But the question is whether at the end of the day, the people who are supposed to benefit from these policies really get what they want. Many a time, you see that those who really don't...
Is that a suggestion that the people who are appointed to lead the agriculture ministry do not have a better understanding of the area?
No, that is sometimes the right people are put over there. Sometimes you have the right people put there to work. But there are other people that are also likely going to be part of it, which may not have what it takes. So what we are trying to say is that let us try to put the people that we think can do it. And then when you put them there too, let's allow them to work. There are cases where sometimes policies are there to help certain happen in the country. And then you put somebody who is a financier of the party there. And because of what that person thinks the person has done for the party, the person feels so powerful. Right. The person feels untouchable. That even if I do it, nobody can say it. That is not to say that all the time the right people are not put there. Sometimes the right people are there. But the problem we have is when we put people who really cannot do the work and then we put them there. So the point I'm trying to make is that the policies are very good. On paper, they are fantastic policies.
Right.
That can really do the thing for us. But the problem now is whether or not we really want to do it.
All right.
One.
We'll come to that,
Okay.
the other point. So kindly give it to Dr. Addison for me. Doc, I get the impression, no, for now, this is the discussion forum. They are supposed to. This is the panel discussion. No, please. And understand, this is the panel, this is academia. I beg you, we will engage you. I will engage the politician, but for now, allow us to do this one. That's why we gave you the platform. Now, let's listen to them, and then we'll allow you to also make input, respectfully. Thank you. Doc, I get the impression that we know, but I don't know whether there's a challenge of doing. Where's the challenge from your point of view?
Personally, I think that...
Kindly get the mic closer.
Personally, I think that as we always say, we only pay lip service to Agric. We don't see it to be very, very important as we claim it to be. As I was trying to say, we can have a means of addressing, we know our problem. We know how to solve it. But the question is, why are we running away from it? Why are we behaving like we don't know? It's because, to me, I think we don't really value Agric as much as we claim we do. But as a developing country like us, that is our only resource. I mean, the land is our only resource, and we cannot continue to treat Agric like that. So we know, and we intentionally behave like we don't.
You talked about certain simple machines, other than looking at the bigger ones,
Yes.
the tractors,
Yes.
the combined harvesters.
Yes.
From your point and from your engagement, do you really get a fair hearing from the policymakers or the politicians as to what you are suggesting? These small machines that could have augmented our quest to ensure food security.
Well, I have not done any research talking to them, but I think that because it has worked in other countries, we can explore. We can explore because investing in this heavy equipment, we can't. I mean, as a nation, we don't have that money to do that. But if there are simple equipment and tools and implements that it can serve the same purpose, I think we should begin to explore in doing that. And they can also even work with academia. Academia can, most of the agricultural engineering department, they can help us come out with some of these. In fact, most of the things can be produced in Ghana.
Really?
If there's that, we can from the politicians to do research about it and to try to assemble them within. We can do that because they are very, very simple, not too expensive.
You also talked about credit.
Yeah, credit.
Credit facility. And if you look at the investment in agriculture by our politicians, why do you think the necessity, like Agric, we still have a challenge with investment?
It still boils down to the fact that we don't really value it so much. We don't really have. You see, I always have a feeling that because of the way we have perceived Agric right from the childhood, when we grow up, we live with it. You know, when we were young, when a child does something wrong, what do? We go and then punish, we ask the child to go and read as a punishment. So by the time we grow up, we see it as something that is not to soil our hands with. So right from beginning, we make it become something that we don't even aspire to be, to find ourselves in such an environment, you see. So we don't really value it, even though we feed, we eat from there, we depend on it for all our foreign currencies and everything, and yet we are not just serious about it. So that's what I would say.
Interesting. Okay, Dr. Camillus, based on what Dr. Addison said, you talk about fine policies, implementation becomes a challenge. And we've had situations where we have the right people there, and then they are not allowed to work. But what do you think will make the magic for us if we want to ensure food security and also in terms of entrepreneurship?
Yes. So I just want to add to what my colleague said earlier. Sometimes, you see, for us to be able to work on our food security problem in this country, sometimes it appears we think that we are not producing. We are producing a lot in Ghana. That is not to say that we shouldn't work at increasing our cultural productivity. A lot is still produced in Ghana, but a lot is also going bad. I'll give you an example that I were doing some data collection. We went out there and then we visited some cocoa farms. I went and then I saw cocoa was ripe and was ready for harvesting. About 100 acres of cocoa. Then I asked the farmers, why are you not harvesting the cocoa? You know, anything they told me? That now because of free SHS, all the people who will have been used as laborers to do the harvesting are now going to school. You see, that is not to say that the free SHS policy is not good. It is telling us that as a country, we need to think about how we can have access to what? Labor. Previously, we had the labor we were using. Now something has happened in the country, and because of that, that labor is not there. That means that as a country, we need to think what? Differently. And that is why, if I also heard I heard from one of the presentations about the issue of this farmer service centers, that if it is possible that we can have a farmer service center whenever a farmer needs input, the farmer goes to that place, and then this particular outfit is able to help the farmer to get whatever he or she wants. But I still go back to my point that if we are to have this kind of farmer service center, it's important that it's managed well. It's important that we put the right people there. It's important that we put measures and legislations to ensure that it works. Very fantastic policy. But the point is whether or not it's going to be managed. We were talking about the issue of credit. One of the things that I think we can do is that, is it possible that government can collaborate or lease with financial institutions? You know, interest rates are too high in our part of the world. Is it possible that government can collaborate with them to, come out with some credit packages with low interest rates affordable to our farmers? Our farmers are in the informal sector of the economy with no collateral. But you go to these banks, you want loans to go and work, and then they tell you to go and bring collateral. Where should they get it from? Can we come out with special credit packages for our farmers because they are going to farm? Is it possible that we can even institute some agricultural insurance policies in the country so that at the end of the day, farmers who have insured their farms can even use their insurance as collateral? Credit is a serious issue. Agricultural financing is very, very important. It's something that we need to take seriously as a country. Is it possible that even the Bank of Ghana can even come out with some directives that banks should give a certain percentage of their credit for the year to farmers? I think that if we are able to do some of these things, at the end of the day, we should be able to help farmers meet their credit challenges.
All right. Thank you. Dr. Addison, so if I'm able to recall, these things you espouse, these challenges that you espouse, I read them when I was in junior high school. And we are still talking about it. I am afraid. So, in the next 15 years, what would we be talking about based on the forecast and based on what you've done so far? So, let's give ourselves the next 5 years. What do you project? And is there any hope? On the area of diversification too, I would want you to also touch on when you are done with the first question. That, okay, if there is hope, how do we diversify? How do we add value? What do we do then?
Thank you very much. I think if our leaders come to the realization that our Agric has become aged and that there's a need for an urgent action to address it, they can. It is possible. Because there's so much unemployment in the country at the moment. Most graduates are floating about, moving from place to place looking for a job. Why are they not interested in Agric? Simply because there's too much drudgery involved in Agric. And these implements I'm talking about, tools and equipment, can make Agric very, very, very easy to handle. So once we begin to, and also credit, once we begin to look at that direction, then it is possible to turn things around because the labor is there. I mean, the youth abound. They are there looking for a job. The only thing is that they don't want to struggle. They find it to be too difficult to engage in Agric. And if anything that will make it easy with availability of credit, I'm sure most youth will be willing to go into that.
Yeah, so on the issue of value addition.
Value addition, yeah.
I mean, we know we are importing. We talk about, oh, we just export raw cocoa. We export raw this. And you've heard many of these politicians talking about value addition. And we are still talking about value addition.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
You see, the political role is very, very, very important. We need somebody who will be so drastic. I mean, I don't want to use this word, but somebody with a decision that this is the way the country should go, and I'm going to push for it at all costs. You see, the political role is very, very important. The various value chain segment is meant for adding value before it gets to the final consumer. But even now, we don't even have standardized way of selling our produce.
Really? I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
For instance, when you go to the north, they claim that when buyers come, they come either with their own size of a sack or container or bowl to come and measure the produce. Who is ensuring that we standardize things so that farmers can benefit? It's one of the key things that is really discouraging the farmers. Because you come with his own bag, and it ensures that this is how much the bag I want to use. The farmer has no say here, because if the farmer, one, needs money, he doesn't have money, he needs money to survive, so he cannot store it. Two, he doesn't have access to markets, ready markets, so he will give it out. And these middlemen are amassing wealth at the expense of these farmers. So if there's a standardized way of handling some of these things, then the farmer can benefit, you see. So these are all the issues that, in fact, the issue in Ghana agriculture is multifaceted, is very serious one, connected all over, and it needs a political will, somebody who can take issues as it is and begin to address them. Otherwise, we will be talking about it over and over every year.
But as it stands,
There's hope.
you have not been able to identify that political will.
So far, that's what I think.
Right.
As soon as my colleague said, they will give us all the nice manifesto about Agric, but when they come, sometimes even the Agric extension officers are paid every month, but they don't even have service money to visit the farmers.
Wow.
Yet they receive their salary every month. So that makes me think that we are not serious when it comes to Agric as a nation.
Interesting. Dr. Kamilu, so how do we then become serious? Before I engage the floor, how do we become serious? Because we want to be food secure.
Yes, so there are a lot of, just to continue from where she ended, there are a lot of infrastructural challenges that we are facing in this country. Like I indicated at the beginning, even though it looks like the emphasis has always been on production, but we are not looking at the marketing aspect. That has been a very serious problem our farmers are facing. She gave an example of the issue of standardization and the rest. I think that as a country, if it is possible, we can move towards marketing our things by using the weighing system. I was in India recently for a conference, and you enter an Indian market. Every market, no matter how informal the person is, you see a weighing scale.
Oh, okay.
Can we introduce similar thing in this country? You see, because some of these things are not happening, we are not making farming even attractive in the country. At the end of the day, it is the retailers even benefit more than the farmers. I was listening to tomato farmers at Tichimantia, was watching TV, and then they were complaining about their production problems, that they harvest their tomato, and then these market women will come and then buy a whole box of tomato at about 200 Ghana cedis, take it to the market, and then go and sell it at a very high price. Look at the margin. Some even went to the extent of saying that sometimes they don't even harvest the tomato. They allow the tomato to go to rot.
Right.
Because if they have to harvest the tomato, they have to spend a lot on labor. And at the end of the day, they may not be able to even recoup their labor cost after selling the tomato. What about the cost of production? The seeds they bought, the weeding they had to pay for. So we need to create market for, there are so many infrastructural challenges. You go to some communities in the country and then food is produced, but no car wants to go there to go and bring it. Go to the north and see, yam is produced and yam is allowed to rot. So the post-harvest issues in the country are just too high. If you look at, I was talking about the policies earlier on. All the policies have pillars for addressing marketing challenges, but we are struggling to be able to manage them. And I think that as a country, it's important we find a solution to that.
Right.
The other one I want to talk about is, whether you like it or not, climate change is here. We are not in the olden days when one will be able to know that the rains are going to come around this time. This time around, the rains come at a time when you don't expect. When you want the rains to come, it won't come. Look at what even happened this year. 8 regions were seriously affected with what? Drought. They planted the maize got to the tasseling stage. And then the fertilizers were applied, and the rains did not come again. You go to the farm, and then you see the fertilizer lying there like salt. So they lost a lot. Thousands of acres of cereals went down the drain. And we all heard it in the media that even the finance minister had to work towards going into the contingency fund to, get some money to help these marginalized farmers. So whether we like it or not, climate change is here.
Right.
It's important we improve on our irrigation systems so that we can have all year round agriculture.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then I'll quickly want to engage the floor as we come up. I'm sure you've heard them speak. Dr. Lee, so you also engage, you teach. The politician has spoken. I'll be engaging them very soon. I realized that some of them were not comfortable because the academia, we were hitting them. How would you respond so far based on their policies and what is on the ground?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that all the programs presented by the various politicians are very laudable. And I can foresee if programs are implemented. Should I stand up?
You can sit.
So if all these programs are well implemented, the likelihood of we seeing an agricultural transformation would be achieved. First of all, there has been a lot of talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area, and all the parties have talked about it. And so we are targeting a certain market which is beyond our geographical zone. And if you are looking at the African Continental Free Trade Area, my question then will be that what are the competitive commodities we have identified which make us able to access the continental market? Not only the African continental market, but the broader geographical market. There has been some time ago where we were very competitive when it comes to the horticultural produce. We were one of the leading exporters of pineapples. We were doing about over 80, almost 70-80% of the market several years back, until the Costa Ricans introduced the variety we call the MD2. Once the MD2 hits the market, we lost almost all our market share. And currently, we are not even doing up to 30% of market share when we come to pineapples. And we're exporting the Asian vegetables, but we had issue with quality. And also then, there also is about the phytosanitary issues which we needed to address. So when we are looking at the market, we also have to look at the phytosanitary.
Please break it down. Sanitary.
Yes, sanitary and phytosanitary. What do you mean by phytosanitary issues is that we're having problems with pest infestation in our produce if they hit the export market. So once they get to the European market, they were identifying certain pests in those produce. And so our products were banned from the international market. But over time, the ban was lifted, but we are still having issues with quality. So as
quality of the produce.
Quality of the produce. So quality is also an important factor which we also need to be very much informed
By
about.
quality, what do you mean? That we don't do it well, we don't produce it well, we don't harvest it well, or something?
Quality starts from the production.
Okay.
So the agronomic practices we employ in production must culminate in us having produce that meet the market standard.
Right.
So there are always market specifications which requires that you must attain certain market standards before you can access those markets. So for example, if you look at one of the market standards we call the Global Gap, we must have certification in Global Gap. If you are doing organic, you must have an organic certification, or you must have a fair trade certification before you can access certain levels of the international market. We must have these certification systems in place. So now we don't have very strong certification systems in Ghana. And so if you want to assess some of these certification, sometimes we need to bring experts from Kenya and South Africa and Europe who would come to certify our farms, and we have to pay for them.
Really?
Because our farmers are not able to pay for some of these certification, mostly we do the group certification, which we call option 2 under Global Gap certification system. We are also talking about the youth in agriculture. Now, we're talking about the youth, but we are not talking about the packages which we provide to the youth, which will attract them to go into agriculture and to stay in agriculture.
Right.
I've heard all the parties talk about youth in agriculture, but what packages do we have for the youth? Then we also talked about agricultural service centers. How do we harness the potential of the agricultural service center to deliver quality service to the farmer and to the youth which goes into agriculture? One of the key things I have seen in agriculture has to do with land development. If you go to our lands, you see that a lot of stumps in the soil. There are a lot of areas which are not well developed, and the farmers do not have the machinery to be able to develop those lands. If we are talking about proper agricultural mechanization, it should give us well-tilled land, well-developed land, linked up with proper irrigation, as we've talked about a lot. Then there has also been talk about developing the 5 northern regions into food baskets.
Right.
Now, if you're looking at the 5 northern regions, then how about the other agroecological zones? We also have the Southern Horticultural Belt. We normally call it the Southern Horticultural Belt. That is where the bulk of the horticultural produce for export are generated. So we look at the Asian vegetables, the pineapples, even floricultural crops. And some key industries are based in the south. They are not in the north. So we cannot develop the northern belt to the detriment of the southern horticultural belt, and even the middle belt. So we must look at the competitive products within the specific agroecological zones and focus on developing those commodities targeted at specific markets.
Right.
If we want to drive agriculture, we must develop the market, that is being said. So then agriculture has to be focused on finding what the market wants and producing what the market wants, not necessarily what we want as agricultural country or people who get into agriculture, but what the market really wants to buy.
Right.
So we are producing what they want. That is why some countries can decide to focus on floriculture. So Kenya does well in floriculture because they know that when they produce flowers, it flies into the European market, and the European market is interested in flowers.
Right.
So that is their competitive strength. We can also identify what are our key competitive strengths, focus on those ones and develop them.
All right.
Then there has been, let me just end by also talking about the land degradation issue. There has been talk about securing cocoa production improvement. Now, if we look at cocoa, for example, we are actually losing our tree crops. There's a law in Ghana that recently one of the cocoa experts was talking about, an AFRC law, which makes it a crime to cut down a cocoa tree. But I also saw a WhatsApp video of somebody who was holding a cocoa tree and was cutting it.
For Galamsey.
For Galamsey.
Yeah.
And he was saying that and he was actually cutting the trees. But there was nothing to address that concern. And so it incentivized those who engage in such malpractice to continue doing that. I think that there has to be some punitive measures for those who destroy the cocoa industry. Recently, the Chinese came to the market with cocoa. They brought only a small quantity of cocoa onto the Belgian market. Once cocoa from China hits the international market, it raises a lot of concern even in Ghana. I'm still scared by the Chinese cocoa industry because when the Chinese cocoa got onto the international market, the value of cocoa, their value, the market value of what they sent it to the international market was 5 times the value, the economic value of what we get. So I'm talking about the price. So if, for example, if our cocoa is 1 CD or let's say $1, the Chinese one was $5.
Wow.
That brings to question what we always talk about, quality, where we say that we are a premium brand when it comes to quality of cocoa. Now we have heavy metal concentration in our soils from illegal mining, and that is also affecting our market. For example, Japan is not even interested in taking our cocoa. If this should continue, then the future of Ghana as a whole, which is completely dependent on cocoa as a major crop, is in jeopardy. We need to look at these things. The final point is that all these beautiful ideas, there are commonalities from every political party. I've just been thinking, wouldn't it be nice for us to harmonize all these ideas into one national manifesto?
Okay.
Or a national strategy, such that we bring the best from every party. We know that wisdom is not in the mind of only one person or one political party. If you can harness all these resources, bright ideas, beautiful ideas from all the parties, and we put them together, and we bring the National Development Planning Commission, harmonize all these ideas, and we synthesize them, I believe that we can have a national development strategy and plan which all parties and every individual can buy into. And once we are able to do this, I think we can make greater progress as a country when it comes to agriculture.
Dr. Eli Gabe, thank you so much. A round of applause. Now, let me go to the politicians. The academia has spoken. I realize that you had a challenge. Let me hear your input. Or you agree? So let me hear you.
Yeah, I don't have any too much problem, but I think
the mic.
I think the format was not given to us for us to know this. But for the purpose of
the mic, please. Yeah.
For the purpose of
your name, please.
My name is William Opombio.
Okay.
I'm a private businessman.
Okay.
And for your knowledge, I run 3 big agricultural factories. Okay. One is orange, I export. One is starch.
Oh.
Two are starch, yeah. And to be honest with us, I think that we all try to shift blames. And mostly the politicians receive the biggest of the blames. Academicians also have their own.
Please let us know. I'm interested.
They have.
Tell us more.
They have. He was talking about quite the last that climate.
Yes.
Okay. Why is it that academicians are not able to predict
the climate change?
No, the rains. Why? Why are they not be able to do that?
We have the meteorological department.
But they are there.
They are able to do that recently.
They are there.
Okay.
I think that we all have to work together.
Okay.
Because the situation we find ourselves is circle.
Okay.
A circle. First of all, I told you we process orange.
Okay.
Now we bring orange from Benin.
Hey.
Yes.
Orange from Benin.
Benin.
I heard it. I thought it was not true.
It is true.
Orange from Benin.
I'm coming.
Hey.
You see, you pick Ghana orange. You pick Benin orange. Ours is more acidic.
Hey.
Okay. Why? Because our soil is acidic. Ghana soil, 80% may be acidic. Oh, I'm just so the net fact is that you can't produce quality produce. You can't get the yield you want.
Okay.
Okay. So right from the beginning, the soil we are going to work on is not that much suitable. Okay. So the academicians have to help us to find solutions to that.
Okay.
Thankfully, CSI, soil research, they have worked. I'm working with them.
Okay.
And they have identified, but they don't have enough funding. But they should be able to work and identify, all those soils and how we treat them.
So, for example, you talk about funding, but somebody must fund it, isn't it?
Yes, somebody.
And
I'm saying that we need to focus what we want, because we can't do everything, at a go. We don't have money. Okay, so if it is a soil we have to tackle, we have to tackle.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean that we have a lot of problems we need to resolve. It is not only politicians who can resolve those things. I have looked at NDC since this, and they all meant well, okay, but it is wishes are not horses. I mean, it is what you put in that give you the distance. So I don't want blame game. The academicians, the knowledge base, the politicians, we all have to sit down and decide that this is how we have to go. We talk about unemployment. You go to the village where I work. Getting people to work for you is not there. It's not there. And it is also had been so since I was born. When I was born, my village, we bring in farm workers from other neighboring countries.
Is it because it's not attractive?
No, but the people are not there. First of all, where I work, it is a farming area. They all have their farms. So they go, you get them when they don't have anything to do. Okay? So that problem also is there. We have so many things we need to resolve.
So let me ask, based on your experience, what do you think we can do to ensure that we are food secure, we are able to add value, we are able to do and embark on sustainable development?
Okay. So first of all, we need to tackle the land.
Okay.
because in Tanzania, they give 10 hectares of their land, give 10 tons of maize. Here, 1 hectare may not give you 2 tons or 3 tons or 4 tons. So the same seed that they use, we use it here, and we get 1/3 of what we have to get. So the first point is that we need to push to getting the same yield that they also are getting.
Right.
For the same seeds. We need to do that. Okay. Academicians and farmers and politicians have to team and do that.
Right.
And also the harvest. I realize that harvesting, we lose so much in harvesting. If I say harvesting, if we talk about soya, we are talking about poultry. But soya, before even the farmer harvests, he has lost maybe 40% onto the ground. Okay, so he's not getting enough yield, and then he's losing before even harvest. And then when you harvest too, you lose. Okay, so it is not the arithmetic is not getting is not being right.
Right.
That all of us have to come together and then find a way to resolve it.
Okay.
And then also even transportation of produce to the markets, you lose also there. And then before the post-harvest losses. So I think that we all have to sit down, look at the problem, we all find a solution to it. And I think Ghana have a very competitive advantage that we can do it. And also we talk about, yesterday I was talking about it. Take cotton that we were producing in the north. Why can't we do cotton? Because that's a long value chain, value added chain. Why can't we produce our own t-shirts, singlets, pants, or pampers, all this? What can we do? But cotton can do that because it has a very long, it gives you also oil. It gives you meal to also sort out your poultry. Groundnut. Our mothers have been doing groundnut for how many years, Minister? Hundreds of years. Right. Why do we even want to change it to soya? So these are some of the things we all have to sit down and resolve, not only the politicians.
Thank you.
But the matter.
Can we clap for him? So now let's hear from the politicians. So from the MP side.
Thank you very much. And let me say that some work has been done by academia, okay, in terms of the improved varieties. Okay, academia, CSR has done some good work in that and getting improved breeds also for the animal husbandry. But I think the way we describing ourselves as a country in terms of agriculture, we are being too hard to ourselves. There is some improvement. Look, let me also give you statistics. Okay, you go to what they call the statistics. Yes, the Bank of Ghana, Ghana Statistical Service. Look at the value added by agricultural sector to gross domestic product in Ghana from 2013 to 2023. And you check crop contribution and the actual value amount that has been added to agriculture. And when you check, you see an improvement, an increase in there. And we need to pat the shoulder of our farmers and other value chain actors. We need to. We talk about credit. And when I finish, I will show this data to you. Okay, we talk about credit. And we are saying that, look, Gesal alone has been able to at least de-risk agriculture with the value of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, which I mentioned. 35 financial institutions are involved. 137 agribusiness are involved. And we are saying that we need to accelerate, expand, and equip them to do so. And that is what you do to the risk, so that cost of capital, as I said, will come low from that basis. And then fund capital will be available, or credit will be available for the farmer. We know we need to do commercial agriculture. How do you do it after you have the risk? Government aspect that we are saying enclave agriculture is to look at those larger lands around, start to put in those mechanization, which is crop-centered mechanization, irrigation that we're talking about. We're talking about silos, crop-centered silos, because for now, what we have are warehouses. Look, the planting for food and jobs, phase 1. We cannot discount it. Look, today when you go to farmers, at least their level of agronomical protocol and technologies has improved to some extent. The smallholder farmers, we say let's scale it to commercial and bring enclave agriculture, where the commercial entity, once you put in reduction of cost of production in terms of sending power there, which is hydro and solar, and you do that, what you are also doing is that you are creating agro program for the small holders, so to move into it and get integrated into the commercial aspect. You growing in there. We realize this issue about processing. As we speak, tomato, for instance, we have 1,400 metric ton a day process facilities in there. But we are not too good at tomato because of the variety. Today, CSR have been able to get 5 varieties of tomato that we are saying that now that we are at 1.3 hectare per metric ton per hectare, by 2028, this variety should send us to 16.8 metric ton per hectare. So that by 2028, the target is that we might have been maybe self-sufficient production in tomato. So you are moving forward. Because tomato, we eat the fresh. So even the factories available are not getting the raw material. So we have challenging there. He mentioned pineapple. Okay, he mentioned pineapple, and the reason why we think that the black voter and then the white voter and those water that are falling in, we need to get them into irrigation. Madam talked that maybe some small irrigation systems. Yes, the drip system, which we think can be done. The bee, for instance, we are looking at where the gravity is falling, so that we can look at the gravity and do the traditional gravity irrigation, which will reduce some cost.
It's something that is already in the plan.
Yes, it's in the plan that I mentioned.
I want to refer
and the other areas, the agroecology that Monsignor talked about, that the soils of Ghana are acidic. It is academia, CSR soil who identified it. We are saying we need to do some digital mapping, okay, of our fertility, soil fertility, because it has degraded. And what do we do then? Now we are saying, our side, we are saying that...
That is MPP side.
Yes, we have lime in the country.
Okay.
We have a lot of lime. And therefore, we want to integrate that for locally produced lime to go and neutralize the acidic soil. We have rock phosphate. We are looking at that one as well, so that you can put in the rock phosphate at places where you think that phosphate, depending on that is. And we think that in so doing, you should build some laboratory for the regions, soil test laboratory for the region, and then target the district as well. So that where you have the enclaves, a farmer or a processor who want to buy cassava will not be combing the whole country looking for cassava. You look at the rate of cassava.
And what is the timeline for it?
No, we're giving ourselves up to 2028. And you check and read the detail of the planting for food and job phase 2. which has given you the type of variety you have to use, the acreage that you have to work on, and the agronomical practices, and then its technologies, and then how to even do the growth rate.
Right.
I was coming to the pineapple, then I'll finish.
Yes, please do.
Okay, let me, because I'm so interested.
I know.
Okay.
But because of
my
the
father
time.
talked about orange.
Yeah.
And we are adding orange, the strategy for the cocoa productivity enhancement program, in terms of rehabilitating the unyielding cocoa trees. We are bringing that strategy into oranges. I was working at Aztec. We produce this Aztec refresh, and I tell you the number of women who were making money in bringing oranges and pineapple to Aztec those days. Now, oranges have the same problem that cocoa has: the mistletoe, the pruning, and then those other epiphytes that are on the oranges. We want to rehabilitate the oranges and bring in new seeds, and want to do 20,000 hectares annually. We want to scale cocoa 1 to 40,000 annually, so we can bring it there. But the pineapple, we ourselves shot ourselves in the foot. Because from the beginning, some of us spoke against it, that the MD2, the technology to handle the MD2, we could not meet it. And the smooth cayenne, which was the best in terms of its acid breaks level and can be used to process the pineapple juice, we sat down for them to just impose this on us. And I was hearing, Doctor, when he was talking about the this your genetical whatever, well, GMO, and I was saying that, look, for me, anything that will not make the Ghanaian benefit, because some of these strategies will bring in varieties that we don't have control over. And we have CSR and Greg and all, we need to support them. So the smooth cayenne, which we let go, we didn't keep the seeds. Today, there are factories, and he has one for orange, he has some for pineapple. We are not getting the smooth cayenne because the sugar loaf, the sugar level of the sugar loaf in terms of its breaks relation cannot be used. The one that is grown at Cape Coast cannot be used for juice. Okay. So we shot ourselves in the foot. So now we are saying that we are going to cultivate the seeds for the smooth cayenne. So we'll bring the smooth cayenne back. All right. And make sure that the local processes now, because the 1D1F has also created some processing for pineapple and oranges. And then Kumfi, for instance, they are not getting the oranges. And now there's one other crop, the chili pepper. It's also targeted. Okay, it's also and then passion fruit is also targeted. And the vegetable that we are talking about, that which commodities are we looking at? We are looking at all this. But you see, the challenge is that Africa itself, we are not ready to trade among ourselves. And that is what we must break. That boundary, we must break it. Because the African countries feel comfortable rather trading with others. And that is where leadership, bilateral engagement must be done. He has successfully negotiated with China for cassava. Right. And we are saying that this should be one of the cardinal things.
For cassava, meaning that we are going to export cassava, or they are going to bring cassava to us?
No, the starch.
Oh, okay.
And then so that the duties and
there's a duty on it. Because we are not from South.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So the government have to fight.
Done that. Okay. And especially for this other crop, that tree crop, what is his name? Cashew. Okay. Now you need to the Singaporeans are rather coming for our cashew, and the Vietnamese are coming for our cashew. Okay, rather, and because they have that bilateral engagement with China, so they come for our cashew and root it there.
And are we benefiting? Are we benefiting? They coming for our cashew.
Yeah,
are we benefiting?
But if we are able to engage China and get direct input, we process and we can send and we will benefit directly.
Right.
Groundnut. Let me finish with groundnut. I beg you. Let me finish with groundnut. Let me finish with groundnut and soya bean. You see, soya bean is mainly for meal. for animal feed and fish feed.
Right.
Okay. We are saying that we should go back and leverage on groundnut. Why? Because the extraction of groundnut oil is about 50% or more. So it makes the meal cheaper than soya bean. Soya bean, you can only extract about 18% oil from it. So it makes the meal more expensive and it goes to increase the cost of feed. And as I was telling you, the cost of feed for fish and animal husbandry is 70% of the total cost of production. And so you see, I outlined some strategies that Dr. Bawumia has to ensure that we can go reduce cost of feed, reduce cost of production, so that at least income security will be there, food will be affordable. But let me salute academia, salute CSR. We are doing a good job, but don't let us be too much hard on Ghana.
They are only saying they are listening to them.
I understand.
They also say
understand
listening
you,
to
but
them.
it looks like we are not applauding and patting the shoulder of the farmers, the hard work, and everybody, including you, academia, including CSI, including government and politicians.
All right.
Okay, but don't let us put ourselves on the carpet, because go out there, and I tell you, I'm not saying that we should be mediocres. I'm not saying that we should be mediocres, but the effort that we are making, at least together, let's appreciate that and still say that we need to do more towards this direction.
Thank you, Mr. Amwa.
Thank you very much.
Let me pick from His Excellency John Mahama.
I'm not Excellency John Mahama. I'm just Yakubu Alasan. My comments are going to be very general. Number one, I think that we have to find another way of analyzing our problems as a country. Let's stop shifting the blame onto only one section of our society as being the cause of our problems. Let's not do that. It is true that politicians are those who have the mantle to mobilize resources of the country to develop the country. But the development itself is not supposed to be done by only the politicians. All of us have a say. So the attitude must be, if a political party presents its manifesto, the attitude must be, what contribution can we make? Because we all acknowledge that what is put in the manifesto is good for the country. What is it that I can do to help achieve that particular objective for the country? I think that must be our starting point. If we criticize the manifesto from day one, based on history, I don't think we will be doing justice to our problems as a country. That's just my first general comment. Number two, as a people, we need to interact a lot more with our governance system as a country and see where we fit as experts, so that we don't miss the point into believing that only a certain section of the Ghanaian society is to blame for all our woes. Our governance system must be well analyzed and understood by us. And let's find out how we can fit in so that we can all make the needed contribution to the growth of our country. The last short point I want to make is that he made my day, actually, to be honest. Let us all try to put in our bit to escalate our solutions. The scientist has his work to do, the politician has his job to do, the experts have their job to do, etc., before we can get to the promised land. If we blame everything and all things on only one section of society, and that is the people who are in the governance system, I'm not sure we're getting it right. And so I wish the politician would take center stage, but because it is finding solutions, not because they are to be blamed for everything that goes wrong in the country. My last point is that we are producing, and sometimes I got conflicted I prefer to call myself a policy manager, not a politician, a policy manager. I get conflicted sometimes when the entire country agrees that they are not self-sufficient in a particular commodity, the government applies all the resources to produce the particular commodity. Then another view comes in that we should export what we have produced to another country when we are not self-sufficient in that same commodity. I get conflicted. We are talking about oil palm, oranges, etc., etc. Do we have enough fruits to eat in the country? Do we have enough vegetables to eat in the country? Do we have enough fish to satisfy the Ghanaian market? And yet we are exporting all these commodities. Who is to blame?
That's very important. So let me listen to Afafranto. Then, yes. Afafranto.
Yes.
You are saying that we should not blame the politicians, but you are the cause. The rest, we have the effect.
Well, because it looks like the politician normally set the pace. That's why if there's any blame, it comes to the politicians as well. But the movement for change has come out of her plan.
Okay.
The great transformational plan. When the doctor was speaking, he made mention of we not talking about the certain sector, what was going to be done there. But I want to say that our policies on the agricultural products are regional based. So depending on what is suitable for that region is what we're going to do. That's why we're talking about.
Can you speak louder for us? Can you speak louder for us?
That was why we're talking about using the northern sector as a food basket in terms of grains and beans and stuff. And then the central belt, middle belt as three crops. But something that has come up, which scares me, is what Mr. Bill was talking about, that our lands are being very acidic. But it's quite amazing to hear something like this when we have a lot of limestone deposit in this country. Where I'm in that area, so I know the quantum of limestone we have in this, especially the rocks, the geological aspect of it. Then we can't sit there for all this while for this thing to ruin us before we come into it. We could have started working on it far earlier than we are talking about it now. But moving forward, we need to take more steps to make sure that we get our soils in this pH levels to enable us to have better plants and other things. We also spoke about the banks. The banks being very focused on the agriculture.
Yeah.
You see, most of the time the banks are shying away from the agro-based industries because of the risk, the high risk in it. The movement for change wants to make sure that we also help the banks, give them the strong capacity to be able to also lend to these agricultural processes.
Yeah.
And then Madam also spoke about small equipments. We have established technical solution centers where some of these small equipments and other things can be assembled here for us to use them, because we cannot be importing everything from the other areas to enhance agriculture. And then we also have to initiate policy to strengthen the agricultural governance based on global best practices. Like Doctor was saying, I was in India and I went to buy banana. Small banana to eat you, but they were all weight. Everything is done on scale, so that we don't fleece on the farmers. More often than not, people go there and then they buy the things, or they have a strategy to see to it that the things are getting rotten before they go in for it. They can get it cheap. If we are adding value to those things, I don't think these things will happen.
Right.
So we need to put up certain structures that will make sure that we don't get any of our products getting rotten in the farm gates or the farmlands. And all these are the policies that can be found in the Great Transformational Plan. And we are sure that when Alan becomes the president, he is going to use, it's a government of national unity.
Yeah.
So everybody is going to be on board. It's going to be a situation where we have the duopoly, and then they are always fighting, and we are running a vicious cycle kind of governance. We are going to come together, take a piece of advice from all stakeholders, and make sure that we build a country that we all achieve, we desire to get in our lives.
Right.
I want to thank you and thank all of you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of my boss.
Thank you. Senior Edu, for you, they represent the various excellencies.
Yes.
But I speak because I know you are the next MP for Furukru. Aha. So tell us, because you will be voting for us.
Distinguished guests, I took the microphone because I want to correct an impression.
Please do.
I think during Doctor's presentation, he made mention of 2 issues on the cocoa sector, which I want to correct. And I want to allay his fears. One of them was that he mentioned that Japan has blocked our cocoa. Japan is not accepting our cocoa. Doctor, I want to allay your fears. Japan is buying cocoa from Ghana. I think our media sometimes does us a disservice. So they pick a news, and the way they carry the news, it scares all of us at the end of the day. There is something called cocoa traceability. So every cocoa that is shipped outside Ghana, you have to trace where the cocoa is coming from. And when the NPP government came to power in 2017, we realized that there was nothing about traceability, and we foresaw that there was going to be a time that traceability was going to be an issue. So we initiated the cocoa management system, where we started registering every farmer in Ghana, their household data, their farm data. So now when you go to the Ghana Cocoa Board, we have a database of every Ghanaian farmer, and we have a GPS location of his farm. So by the touch of a button, they are able to trace his farm. So when you sell a cocoa bag to Ghana Cocoa Board, using your bag tag number, they're able to trace which farm the cocoa is coming from. And after this traceability was done, right now, all the cocoa producing countries, Ghana is the first country that has been able to initiate the cocoa traceability. After this traceability was done, EU passed the law. EU has passed the law that if you are bringing any cocoa to the European market, European Union market, it should have traceability. Luckily for us, we have been able to implement traceability ahead of our competitors and our other countries, so we are safe. But what happened with Japan was that Cocoa Board has banned the use of weedicides. Every cocoa that we export, we have to do something called a residue analysis. And we have banned the use of weedicides. And some of our farmers are so difficult that they still go and buy some of these weedicides that contain chemicals which are harmful to human beings. So when they use weedicides that are harmful to us, and then those bags or those beans missed the residue analysis, and it gets to a market, it will be rejected. So every bag that gets to the port, they sample the bag, and they have a laboratory at the port that tests residue for these chemicals. So unfortunately for us, a bag of cocoa, just a bag of cocoa, passed through and got to Japan, and Japan rejected it. Then our media, when the Cocoa Board broke the news, so that farmers will know the effect of their some of their practices, our media carried it that Japan has banned Ghana cocoa. Meanwhile, Japan is today buying Ghana cocoa. So for your information, Doc, please, Japan has not banned Ghana cocoa. And then 2, the issue of China growing cocoa. This was also
before you go there, let me ask. So once it is rejected, what happens? You destroy it?
It's a bag that is just rejected, so it's destroyed.
Okay.
That bag is destroyed.
It doesn't
because
come into
it doesn't come into it at all. And payment is not made on that bag. So we make sure that every cocoa that is shipped, a residue analysis is done on each bag. So when you go, they have samplers.
Right.
They have something that they put inside the bag, pull some of the beans, take it to the laboratory to test each bag that is exported.
All right.
And we have workers doing this. Right. Now, the issue of China producing cocoa. China exported about less than 1,000 kilograms of cocoa to the European market. About 500 kilograms. Yes. If you convert 500 kilograms, I don't think it's even more than 1,000 tons. It's not even up to 100 tons. Half a ton. It's even half a ton. A ton of cocoa is 16 bags. So half a ton is how many bags? 8 bags. They exported 8 bags of cocoa to the European market. And the 8 bags attracted more than $4,000. Meanwhile, the European market was buying cocoa from Ghana at $1,800 per ton. This was the controversy. Now, cocoa is a tropical fruit. Cocoa is a tropical fruit. It needs rainfall and sunlight to survive. If there's too much rain, it won't survive. If there's too much sunlight, it won't survive. It needs a blend of both. The Chinese province, which is the Henan province, that produce it, they don't have the kind of temperature we have here. They have 3 cycles. They have winter. It snows there. So whenever it snows, their cocoa trees die out. And then they manage to be able to get just half a ton of cocoa. And it was news for the Chinese market. It was news for them. They don't have the comparative advantage on cocoa. So their media houses picked it. And then our media saw it and blew it.
But Honorable, should we not be afraid looking at the way they start small and then later on?
No. So every country has its comparative advantage. Ghana, our comparative advantage is cocoa. China, have you asked yourself why Europe is not growing cocoa? Because they know that the cost of producing it, they can. Israel can do it. Israel, as I'm talking to you, what China did, Israel has done more than that.
But should we not be scared, because in terms of even cocoa production, we are not doing well in terms of cocoa production. There has been a reduction from 1 million tons. Now we are doing less than 500,000.
What is happening is, there's been, when one of the speakers was talking, he spoke about temperature changes. Mm-hmm. Temperature changes. Quite recently, there was the El Nino effect that caused a lot of the cocoa production to come down. And it just didn't affect Ghana. It affected almost all the countries in the tropical areas in West Africa. So Cote d'Ivoire was producing 2.5 million tons. Cote d'Ivoire's production has moved downwards to 1.5 million. They've lost 1 million tons as a country. In Ghana, we were producing between 800 to 1 million tons, and we moved down to 450,000 tons. But then what we are doing now is we want to look at the vertical integration of our farming so that we don't have to expand farms and use a lot of land, but then put in agronomy practices that will enhance production. That is why Cocoa Board introduced the mass pruning, the pollination, and all these enhancement programs that will increase production on a single farm.
Right.
And these things that you've seen are yielding. And apart from that, we're also doing the cocoa rehabilitation project, where diseased farms are being cut and replanted. So the cocoa farms that have been cut, we have lost there to take some number of years, about 5 to 6 years before these trees will start to crop, and then it will come back to add to our production numbers. But most importantly, what I'm saying is, I think our media should have focused more on the price and should have questioned the international market why they will buy. At the time they were buying our cocoa is more premium than the Henan cocoa that China sold to the European market. Right. So whilst they were buying our cocoa at $1,800, why would they go and buy Chinese cocoa at $4,000? That is the question our media should have asked. But rather, as a country, we were focusing on production when we know we are at 800,000 and they are now producing half a ton. That is what I wanted to correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your inputs. We appreciate it. So Let me come back to our panel, then we begin to wrap because of the time. I know you have a lot to say, but so ladies first. Dr. Addison, so I mean the audience have spoken and you earlier spoke. So what do we do way forward?
I think I will echo more about all of us showing concern about the situation now, and then seeing how we can contribute to the solution of the problem. As I indicated, it's not everything that we can import into the country. Some of these basic equipment that I spoke about, we can do more research and then produce them right here. So everybody must see the situation as a source of worry, and then all of us should contribute to in solving it at this stage. That's what I would say to conclude.
Is there hope?
There's hope. Once we all decide to work at it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kabna, what do you think? Way forward.
Yeah, so what I want to say is that we need to work on production and the marketing at the same time. As I said earlier, a lot of food, for us to be able to ensure our food security in the country, a lot of food is already produced in the country. Let's make sure we don't lose a lot of what we are producing. If you don't know, Ghana is losing we normally lose about 40% of our vegetables and fruits that are produced in the country. So any policy that is there to help agriculture in the country should aim at addressing our post-harvest challenges. Now, if you also follow the discussion that we have had today, you realize that all the contributions are boiling down to the first point that I made, that we need a national agricultural development framework. That is very, very important. It's important that we all, the people who matter, the politicians, academia, the farmers, farmer associations, all those who matter as far as agriculture is concerned in this country, it's important that we come together. Like I indicated at the beginning, fantastic ideas on paper. How do we bring the good of each policy together so that at the end of the day, we have something that is very good for this country? When we are able to do this, I believe Ghana's agriculture can be sent to the promised land. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, final word from our provost. Prof, speak to us. They've spoken fantastic ideas. You are teaching us the way forward for Ghana. In the next 5 years, what do we need to do?
Thank you very much. I'm excited about this program. We have politicians on one side and we have academicians on one side. So clearly, we have started a dialogue. And as I said earlier, the university recognized the critical role co-creation and the technology transfer play in the national development. So the university is putting structures in place to ensure that we achieve this co-creation and technology transfer. Once we are in touch with we need to take it further so that once the policy on board, the university take policy on board and develop their research agenda out of the policies that the government bring on board. In that way, we'll all be moving at the same wavelength. As one of the speakers said, we need agricultural, a long-term agricultural development policy for this country. And we can only develop when we work together with the politicians. So I think it's a good thing, and we started on a good note. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we clap for ourselves? Can we clap for ourselves? Thank you, Prof, for that insightful remarks. So we are wrapping up, and just a quick one for us to think about as we are closing. We share some data with you, and I'm interested also with the Marabo Convention, where the African Union government came in. The African Union in 2010 decided that by the year 2025, things would have been better. And as I continue to read, and then we are looking at, in the next 2 months, 2025, ending poverty, halving this, food security, sustainable. It's so nice, the commitment from 2010 throughout. And I'm thinking, they said by 2025, our African leaders who, in 2010, they said by 2025, things will be well for us. And I'm thinking about all the discussions that we have, assessed here, whether indeed from 2025 we'll be able to realize it, or it was just part of the normal meetings and thinking and committing, and at the end of the day, we all let it slide. I want to appreciate everybody who joined us. Particularly, I want to appreciate our security personnel. Please, can you rise, and then let's appreciate our security. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, let's clap for them. We appreciate you. We know that from next month, what is next month, almost like December, you'll be very busy. We pray for you because you have a lot to do for us, to protect us, to ensure that we can sleep well. God bless you. Thank you. Shall we clap for them again? And to everybody present, we want to appreciate you. We want to appreciate our panel, Dr. and Mrs. Monica Addison. Thank you. God bless you. Dr. Camillus Wagner, you have really also added on. I realized that the politicians were not comfortable. Thank you for pressing on. I want to thank all the protocols. We appreciate you. To the media, we want to say thank you so much. You've indeed helped us. And when we are done, there's item 13. Very important. So, very necessary. So we can engage ourselves, and we can also network, and we can also engage the other people here. Shall we rise and pray?
A great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies, The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies, The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies, The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic